Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about your assignments for this week. You have your shapes for your faces. So I took and looked at some faces and I drew them on my shapes. Then you also had a sphere that you're supposed to be working on. So I took my sphere idea and I worked it into some faces. Here's another little face. Then I practiced noses, which I could send you, that you could practice some noses so you can get some ideas. Then you had the idea of doing your cut squares. So here's an idea I used using magazine squares. Here I just use white squares. Here I use black squares. Here I use squares just from a Hy-Vee ad. Here I use cut squares from the shopper. And there I was going to use that cut square and I got hungry and I turned it into that. Here's a picture I did with just cut pieces of paper. And then here's a book I wrote for my friend using those pictures. Then remember we were supposed to do that contour drawing. There's a contour. Here's where I just used choppy little lines and did a contour. And contours can turn into other things. Here's a painting I did using faces. Now I'm going to go back a minute with your shapes because we used a square, remember. You start with just a simple square. You can also make animals from shapes, or you can do little crafts from shapes. So out of these few lessons, you could come up with a lot of ideas.